They never planned to wake up with thoughts of you filling their mind completely. This is the first important thing you need to understand. Well, most people are too weak to face what they have pushed down deep, using all their strength and strong determination over time. Intensity has already taken hold of them because staying indifferent works quietly in a silent way that is hard to notice right at the beginning. But this situation was not silent at all in reality. It turned into a real fight they had been losing, even when their eyes stayed closed and the world around them looked completely calm on the surface. You sensed it yourself clearly, right? There was that small change, and that hidden flow of energy like something very important was growing quietly just under their calm and steady appearance. It was not really about distance or mixed feelings at all, but something much more serious instead. This involved a true recognition of what was happening deep inside them without any doubt. If you want the full truth about how someone secretly fights their strong feelings for you, hit like right now. People do not welcome their emotions when those feelings first start to appear suddenly. Instead, they push them away hard and question them from every possible angle with care. They hide the emotions under many reasons, their ego and the strong walls they have built carefully over many years. Because what they feel for you does not match the image of themselves they are trying so hard to keep alive every single day without fail. This conflict is where things start to become risky and truly difficult for them. The stronger a feeling challenges their pride. The harder they try to push it down even more aggressively than they did before. This process is what experts like Freud called repression, which is the mind's natural method of hiding desires that feel unacceptable in their life. But repression is not simply about forgetting the feelings completely. It creates steady pressure that keeps building up over time inside them. And pressure always finds its own way to come out eventually, no matter how much someone tries to hold it back with effort. Most people do not understand this important fact until it becomes too late for easy changes. What they refuse to accept yesterday slowly becomes the force that controls their thoughts and actions today without them realizing it fully in the moment. That is exactly why this morning felt so different from all the other normal days they had known. It was not because something new started out of nowhere. It happened because something finally broke apart inside them, and you were not there to witness that deeply private collapse of their denial. This hidden breakdown was never a spoken confession or a direct message, but a moment where all their usual ways to escape failed them completely. Comment awakened. If you have ever been the person they could not stop thinking about in the morning during that heavy silence, their usual distractions vanished and you appeared not simply as an old memory but as a powerful, unavoidable realization. Attraction is easily set aside and curiosity can be brushed off without much effort. But when something carries real emotional weight, the mind begins to crack. They were forced to face a deep question they had avoided for a very long time. Why do you affect them so strongly? They tried to answer using only cold logic, telling themselves the feeling was temporary and meant nothing serious in the bigger picture. They used every label possible: coincidence, simple chemistry, or passing circumstances, clinging to anything except the real truth they feared most. The actual truth is that you do not struggle to explain away something that carries no real importance in your life. You do not fight against something that does not exist. Nor do you try to bury feelings that lack true depth. Every attempt they made to remove you from their thoughts only made your image clearer and stronger over time. Every distraction they used fell apart exactly when they needed it most to stay in full control. This is not a sign of weakness, but the unavoidable pull of what is truly happening between you two. They did not want something they could not control completely on their terms. They wanted to keep full power over their own emotions and decisions at every single step along the way. You came in and disturbed that careful balance they had created for themselves over many years of effort. You became the one factor they could not figure out or solve easily with their usual methods. You turned into the emotion they could not predict ahead of time, and the presence they could not remove or neutralize no matter how hard they tried with determination. That loss of control is what truly scared them deep down inside their heart. It was not really about you as a person, but about what you had awakened inside their own heart and mind fully. You did not just create a small stir in their life. You brought something to life that they could not manage on their own. And people do not fear emotions as much as they fear losing full command over themselves. This explains why they pulled away suddenly, and why their behavior became so inconsistent and unpredictable. Their energy felt scattered, not because they cared too little, but because they felt far more than they could handle comfortably. Feeling this much requires making a clear decision, and they were simply not prepared for that step yet. Avoidance is never a sign that desire is missing. It proves the desire is strong enough to create war. Their inner struggles started to take over as the conscious mind ordered them to stay safe behind logical walls while the subconscious kept bringing you back. It rebuilt your presence in their thoughts during moments of calm, exactly where their usual distractions faded away. They began to notice that you were not disappearing from their mind over time like they had hoped. Instead, your image was becoming clearer, sharper, and almost impossible to ignore. Denial needs space and distance to survive, but your influence grew stronger every day, even without any physical nearness between you. Once a feeling moves from simple doubt into deep subconscious certainty, it stops asking for approval and starts demanding full attention. That exact turning point arrived for them this morning in a quiet but powerful manner, stripped of all comfort. Pipe-breaking if you know exactly what it feels like when their denial finally collapses without loud chaos or dramatic noise. It arrived as a silent, overwhelming wave that left them standing completely exposed to the truth. Their walls did not fall from an outside attack. They crumbled from the sheer weight of what was hidden inside. Yet, it shook them more deeply than any open confession possibly could have done in their life. Because the truth was not spoken out loud for others to hear. It was simply understood on a level that cannot be reversed easily once accepted. You can mislead other people around you and even fool yourself for some time with effort. But once the mind truly accepts something important, it refuses to release that knowledge without a fight. They now know the truth completely, and not in a partial or unclear way anymore. Acceptance does not bring instant calm or peace to the situation right away. It actually creates new chaos because they must now face all the things they had been avoiding carefully before this moment. They have to consider what this feeling really means for their future, how it will change their life, what it requires from them, and especially what they might lose if they continue ignoring it completely. Feelings of this strength do not stay neutral for long periods. They grow, become more powerful, and keep moving forward steadily without pause. Right now, they stand at the edge of all that built-up pressure, trying their best to hold on to their sense of control while everything underneath them keeps shifting and changing rapidly. This experience was never only about you as an individual person in their life. It was mainly about the deeper parts of themselves that you helped bring to life and awareness fully. That inner awakening process is still continuing and has not reached its end yet in their journey.
They believed that accepting the feelings would make everything quieter and easier to handle with time. They were mistaken because admitting the truth this morning did not settle the storm inside them at all. It simply gave the storm a clear name and identity that stuck. Once something important has a name, it becomes much harder to run away from or escape successfully in the end. Simple awareness does not weaken the intensity of emotions in any way. It actually makes them sharper and turns unclear feelings into solid and undeniable reality that is hard to dismiss easily now. That new reality started pressing against them almost right away without any delay at all. They can no longer pretend that nothing is happening or that it will pass on its own without effort. Every thought now carries extra weight and meaning for them. Every memory feels purposeful, and every quiet moment feels filled with energy and tension inside.
When the mind loses its ability to deny something real, it begins to divide into opposing parts naturally. One side moves closer toward you while the other side fights hard to pull away with strength, and neither part is willing to surrender easily in this ongoing struggle between them. This is not ordinary confusion, but a real internal division between strong desire and strong self-protection at the same time. Both forces are becoming more powerful because what they feel for you has gone beyond simple attraction alone. It is moving closer to a form of emotional attachment that is starting to take shape inside them deeply. Attachment feels threatening to anyone who is scared of losing personal control over their life and choices completely. Most people fail to notice this deeper process happening around them. The stronger the emotional flow becomes, the more their mental defenses rise up to protect them from harm. That is why, after they recognized their true feelings, they did not move forward right away with confidence. They paused, thought too much, and analyzed everything carefully from all sides. They overthought simple things that used to feel completely natural because those things now carried heavy importance and possible risks for them. Anything that carries real weight starts to feel like a potential danger to their freedom, to their sense of self, and to the personal image they have worked hard to build over many years. You do not fear things you do not value at all in your heart. This creates a strong contradiction that becomes impossible for them to ignore any longer without effort. The very same feeling that pulls them closer is also pushing them back at the same time, creating constant inner tension that drains energy. That ongoing contradiction drains their energy and follows them into every part of daily life without mercy. It enters ordinary moments that once felt normal because now everything carries a quiet echo of you, even if it is not direct at all. Comment pressure. If you felt someone suppressing strong feelings for you, a certain tone of voice, a short pause, or a specific kind of silence can suddenly bring them back to thoughts of you in ways they did not choose. The subconscious part of their mind holds on tighter because it does not follow timing or schedule set by them. You have crossed that important line, which means you are no longer something optional in their thoughts or feelings anymore. Now they must face the difficult question they have avoided for so long at any cost to their peace. Why you specifically out of all possible people in the world? Why does your presence affect them in this unique and powerful manner that stands out? The more they search for logical answers, the less sense it seems to make overall in their mind. This connection was never built on easy convenience or simple circumstances that could be explained away quickly with words. It cannot be reduced to one basic reason or story alone. It comes from something much deeper, rooted in genuine recognition that feels both unchosen and impossible to avoid completely. If this connection is truly real, then it requires something important from them, including action, openness, and personal exposure, which they have avoided for many years in their life. So, they try to delay progress and create more distance to slow down what is already speeding up inside their minds steadily. Distance does not weaken a real emotional bond at all. It actually makes the bond stronger because it removes all outside distractions that could interfere. When those distractions disappear, only the pure truth remains. And that truth is growing louder and more powerful instead of fading away with time. They feel this change clearly in how their thoughts keep returning to you without any warning at all. They feel it in sudden emotions that rise up strongly during the day. And they feel it in the way something deep inside refuses to become calm, no matter how much effort they put into controlling it tightly. Suppression keeps failing for them over and over again without success. Real tension is now taking hold because they are fully aware of the feelings, yet they still resist them actively every day. They sense the truth, yet keep questioning it with doubt. And they recognize its power, yet avoid carrying its full weight in their life as before. This creates ongoing psychological pressure that never fully goes away from them. It keeps building up and tightening until something has to break under the strain eventually. They are not only fighting against the feeling itself in their heart, they are also struggling with what that feeling shows about their own hidden needs and fears deep down. What they feel for you reveals the deep craving to connect with someone special, the longing to be truly understood and seen clearly, and the fear of letting themselves be affected so strongly by another. Being affected deeply means opening up to vulnerability. And vulnerability requires giving up some control, which makes them very uncomfortable inside. So they keep moving back and forth between leaning closer emotionally and then pulling away mentally for safety and peace. One moment they imagine positive possibilities for the future, and the next they tell themselves it is too complicated or risky to continue forward. This back and forth movement is not random, but serves as a protective shield for them. It lets them experience the feelings without completely giving into them at once in full force. You cannot experience something this meaningful in a half-hearted way at all. You can only postpone facing it fully for some time, and every delay comes with its own price that must be paid later. Suppressed emotions do not vanish into nothing without trace. They change into inner tension, restlessness, and constant mental noise that is hard to quiet down completely, even with effort. Lately, that noise has grown much stronger and more persistent for them in daily life. It now affects them not only in their emotions, but also in their thinking patterns, daily behavior, and even in physical ways they notice. Sometimes you can see it in their reduced focus, changing moods and strong reactions to unrelated things around them. Suddenly, an unresolved truth is rising up from deep inside, and it demands something they are not fully ready to offer yet without hesitation. Type yes if you want me to expose how their subconscious keeps pulling them back to you. They are closer to their personal breaking point than they want to believe right now. Right now, something important is starting to crack apart inside them deeply. Not on the outside, where they keep a calm appearance with practiced effort every day. The real change is happening underneath, where their mind stops pretending and where truth exists without needing any approval from them at all. Repression always carries a hidden cost, and that cost is now becoming due for them to pay in full without escape. The longer someone pushes down something genuine, the more powerfully it returns later with greater force than before. What once felt easy to manage now feels intrusive and demanding in their life. What felt far away now feels close and immediate without warning. What could be denied before now feels completely undeniable and real in their heart. When the subconscious can no longer stay contained quietly, it does not bargain or compromise gently with them. It breaks through suddenly in raw and direct ways they never expected at all. It appears in their sudden reactions, increased irritability, and in how small issues cause unusually strong frustration for no clear reason. Their ability to concentrate disappears the moment thoughts of you enter their mind without invitation suddenly. You are no longer just another person who exists in their outer life casually. You have become someone living inside their private inner world completely. And that difference changes the entire situation dramatically in many ways. External things can be avoided, set aside, or replaced with something new without much trouble. But inner realities follow a person into every quiet moment, into sleep, and into spaces they thought belonged only to themselves alone. Their resistance is beginning to weaken because the main question has changed for them. Now it is no longer whether they feel something real inside their heart. That part is already clear without doubt. The new question is what they are going to do about these strong feelings that refuse to leave. Now that is the question that scares them the most, because taking action means possible exposure and vulnerability, which means giving up some control they value highly in life. Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid exactly this kind of situation with care. You cannot fully control something that has already changed you from the inside deeply, and you have transformed them in important ways that last. The change is not surface level or short-term at all. It has reached deeper into how they understand emotions, how they see real connection with others, and how they now experience your absence in daily life fully. Your absence has actually become louder and more noticeable than your presence ever felt before in their world. That reality is what is breaking them slowly over time. Not just missing you in a simple way, but feeling your influence no matter where they are or what they do every day. This creates tension that refuses to go away easily from them. It keeps returning in cycles and growing stronger each time without fail. Every effort to move on brings them back to the same deep realization that nothing else feels quite the same anymore in comparison. That quiet comparison is slowly breaking down their protective walls because everything else now seems less intense, less meaningful, and less genuine in comparison to you. This forces them to accept a truth they tried hard to avoid for so long in their heart. This connection cannot be replaced with anything else easily at all. Share this if you have ever been the one they tried to forget but could not. A quiet sense of panic is starting to grow inside them steadily. It is not loud or obvious to others, but slow and steady, like something creeping forward without stop. If something cannot be replaced, then the possibility of losing it feels very real and frightening for them. The fear of losing something authentic is often stronger than the fear of never having it in the first place at all. Their behavior is starting to change in ways they do not fully understand themselves yet. They become unpredictable and move between sudden impulses and careful restraint without clear pattern to follow. One part of them wants to move closer to you to end the painful tension, face the truth, and quiet the constant noise inside their mind. But another stronger and more trained part tells them to hold back, protect their safety, and avoid anything that feels too overwhelming right now. This inner battle is tiring them out because neither side is ready to release its hold without a struggle, creating unbearable pressure. It has moved beyond simple emotions into deeper questions about who they really are versus who they pretend to be in public. The version of themselves that avoids you cannot coexist forever with the version that feels you so strongly inside. One of those sides will eventually have to give way and make room for the other. They are finally beginning to notice their own repeating patterns of running away much more clearly than ever before. Now they catch themselves avoiding distractions whenever anything comes too close to the real truth they hold deeply inside. This new self-awareness feels deeply uncomfortable because it completely removes their illusion of being in full control. They see their own defenses and excuses clearly now. And once you recognize your avoidance, you can no longer pretend it isn't there. That realization creates an intense pressure that makes going back to old habits feel almost impossible. Even the distance they keep begins to seem artificial, and the silence starts to feel like a self-betrayal. They are running out of safe places to hide these feelings and cannot return to a state of emotional numbness. Something basic has changed inside them forever, and that internal shift is now demanding a clear final resolution. The mind cannot sustain this level of inner contradiction and conflict for much longer without making a firm decision. They stand right at that important edge now, much closer than they are willing to admit openly. One more wave of pressure or one more failure of resistance will push them past the point of holding back. This process will not end slowly or in a gentle manner. It will reach a clear breaking point where they can no longer delay facing reality. The mind can survive denial for a time, but it cannot continue under constant contradiction without giving way under the strain. They are breaking apart internally because the truth has finally surrounded them completely, leaving no easy exit left. There is no escape remaining in logical arguments, new distractions, or creating more distance from it all. The final stage of this long repression is not continued silence, but direct confrontation with what they hold. That confrontation is approaching whether they feel ready for it or not. As the subconscious no longer waits for permission, it demands that their outer actions match their inner feelings, which currently remain in a painful, conflicting gap. This disconnect creates a sharp psychological pressure that forces a definitive decision to be made without further delay. Once the mind reaches this advanced stage, it refuses to settle for half measures or become quiet again without a true resolution. It is an unstoppable momentum pushing them out of the safety of their old comfortable defenses. A clear choice is forming inside them at this very moment, developing through a silent, unavoidable understanding they can no longer run away from. This realization is permanent, completely reshaping their entire way of thinking and feeling from the inside out. Every excuse they used before now feels entirely hollow, and every delay seems artificially created. Every attempt to push these feelings away feels like a quiet betrayal of their own deepest self. People can live with pain and handle fear, but they cannot survive the slow erosion of fighting against what they know to be true. But they cannot keep betraying their most important inner truth forever without consequences that follow. A real choice must be made eventually, and they are finally approaching that definitive line where avoiding you costs more than facing the situation honestly. Now, their resistance is growing weaker, not because they chose to let go freely, but because they can no longer find good reasons to keep holding on to their walls so tightly as before. Comment recognition. If this explains their hot and cold behavior perfectly, the comfortable illusions of total control and the hope that time would make these feelings disappear are breaking down completely without return. Time did not remove the feelings at all. It made them clearer, stronger, and heavier than ever before, leaving them nowhere left to hide except to come out into the open fully. Inaction now feels far heavier than taking a risk with courage, and they have stopped trying to make their emotions seem smaller than they are in truth. Every moment of silence and every period of distance now feels entirely unnatural and wrong for them. They can no longer live in this conflicted state as all their fears and desires are coming together into one unavoidable realization deep inside. Clarity has not brought them peace in any way. Instead, it has brought urgency, inner restlessness, and a constant pull that pushes them forward to act with honesty. Feel for you is no longer weak or uncertain at all. It is solid, real, and impossible to leave behind without losing a vital part of themselves forever. When that suppressed truth finally breaks open, it will come back with an intensity that refuses to stay hidden any longer, like this video.